I don't think like we treat the game any differently or look at it differently now that we're ranked. I think it's just like we're getting back into those conversations and back into the polls, so that's meaningful to us. But I mean, we still want to beat everybody that we play, regardless of if we have a number in front of our name. So
Jada, the way the game against West Virginia in Morgantown went last year, kind of down to the wire, last second win for y'all. Do you look back at that and the way that West Virginia plays and the way that game went? Like, does that matter at all how last year went?
No, it's a new year. They have new players just like we do, so really just competing. We're two very good teams, very quick, very good defensively. So really just who can take care of the ball the most, which we want to be the ones to. But yeah, just executing, not making too many mistakes, playing fast, and seeing who could last each other out.
Nettie, you're shooting over 60% on the season. Saturday wasn't your best shooting performance, but I'm curious, like when even when it's not your best, the team keeps coming to you and giving you those opportunities. Does that give you confidence to know, like, hey, one of these times the next one's going in?
yeah, Saturday, for sure it was nice like for Coach Nicky to keep running plays to try to get me the ball and my teammates to still try to find me. It definitely makes me feel good that they still believe in me even when the shots aren't falling. And those games happen, so I'm just focused on turning it around.
Jada, on us too, the team has the last 3 games in particular, you look at the number of shots you've made, big percentage of them been assisted. You've been a part of that, certainly, but does that feel different? Can you feel that when you're on the floor? Like, what's it like when you're out there and just kind of get that sense that things are humming smoothly?
It feels good. It just lets me know that everything that we've been practicing in practice is really turning out, showing up in games. People are making shots. Even though Nettie didn't make her shots this game, we know she's going to make them next game, and just continuing to just instill in her that, like, no one can guard her on the low block. So knowing that, whether you make it or miss it, we're going to keep going to you, and the rest of our teammates too. Bella hitting her threes, Aaliyah coming in, hitting her threes. Everyone just hitting big shots when we need them, and that's what we need.
Forgive me if this has already been asked, but ranked matchup coming into tomorrow, what is the early season ranked matchups? How have those prepared y'all for this big matchup at the Foster?
Just another test, another big game to play a very good team and prove ourselves and show why we're one of the top teams in the country. We've been tested. We've played a lot of great teams. We played the number 1 team. We've played everyone you could think of. So I feel like we're very prepared now going towards the end of the season.
And all of a sudden you look up and the Big 12 standings, y'all are right there. What would winning this game, how would that feel like that would propel y'all rather to compete for a Big 12 title?
Yeah, I mean, that's been our goal from the start of the season. So to be right there tied, I think that just means we have to finish stronger than, we started. We took some early losses, but we're still in a position to win conference and get a ring, and so we're just going to focus on doing that.
Can you answer the same thing, Jada, just how important it is to be that close and have it's in your hands, that kind of thing, that you don't have to count on somebody else?
I feel like it's super cool. We're in control of our own destiny. Only we can play and prove other people that we deserve to be the number 1 team. We want to host. We want to do all the good things that every other team gets to do when we go into the tournament. So why not us? We've been practicing and preparing. We got all the tools we need, all the players we need, just putting it together and finishing strong.
Jada, Quinterly obviously is one of the best guards in the nation, not just the Big 12. I assume you'll be guarding her some. What makes her so special in your eyes?
She's super quick. She's very aggressive. I've played with her in high school, so just know that tenacity that she has is similar to me, and just trying to stop it as best we can. She's going to hit some shots, but we can't get discouraged. Just try to limit them as much as possible and make someone else score on the team.
Now, when you say I must have missed something in my preparation, y'all played high school ball together?
AU, Blue
AAU,
Williams,
okay.
yeah.
So you know her quite well.
Yeah.
What would you say her greatest strength is?
Just her mentality. She's always attacking, super aggressive, just always making plays for her team. Similar to how our guards do, but we have multiple that can, and they have two main ones that really can do that. So really, just keying in on them, and then not letting other people become a factor.
Okay, one other question concerning defense. Coach Nikki talks a lot about she thinks the team, your team, you foul too much. West Virginia is, I was just looking, has taken 140 more free throws than their opponents, which is a lot. So in regards to your preparation for this game, are you more conscious to not foul, or is the preparation just the same? I mean, that's a big number.
Definitely. Just still trying to stay aggressive, but not foul. However that may work. Just being conscious of how the refs are calling the game. Some refs they might tell me to keep my hands away, or I can't use my hands as much. Some refs they let it slide. So whatever I can get away with, I try. But really, just keeping our hands up, being in the right spot at the right time, being disciplined not to like swipe down or want to go for the steal. Just being very disciplined with a team that's quick and aggressive and likes to be physical and go into your body a lot.
JD, I mean, you said you played with, Quinterly, and Bugs obviously has a high school teammate on West Virginia as well. Does that add more juice to this? Like, do you, I don't know, want to get one over on them? Like, how does that, when you know someone more intimately, how does that affect the game plan or the preparation at all?
I feel like for me, it doesn't really affect me at all. It's just our team is trying to be your team. I might high five you after the game and chop it up after the game, but it's business when we get between the lines. So.
maybe. So do they. I guess what is the momentum level and the excitement level for you and your team? Kind of entering this seems like a big game.
I think I think what's put us in this situation is really one game at a time mentality. Certainly, this is our fourth game in a short period. This was a long stretch between days offs, really, and good days off for us. But I think, we've had these opportunities in the past, and we haven't taken advantage of them. So I think it's just another opportunity to prove that we've gotten better, and that we're ready to compete against another elite team. And I think when you look at both teams in the polls, both teams in the net, we're playing for the same thing. And so, it's about playing well at home and, executing game plans. And a game plan against West Virginia is very different than a game plan against BYU, which is different than UCF. So really the key here is really being focused, focused energy, focused effort. Playing, it doesn't matter what game you play. You got to play well to win in this league. So we need to play well to beat West Virginia for sure.
Nikki, seems like you have the guards to handle it, but obviously they bring a lot of pressure. How do you handle that part and just, you can't have a lot of live.
Yeah, poise and patience. I think they've turned every opponent over more than 15 times. So if I'm going to think we're going to have a game that we turn the ball over 4 times, then, that's not realistic. They speed you up. We need to have good turnovers. We can't have the steal, score, momentum plays, but dead ball turnovers, 10-cent backcourt violations. We just have to be smart. You need to break their press to score some, and sometimes you just need to break their press and flow into offense. We did a good job a year ago in our offensive execution in the half court, giving ourselves a chance, and build double-digit leads in both games, only to see the one disappear real quickly there at the end at West Virginia. But I think, it's a lot of poise, and you can't get flustered because you are going to turn the basketball over. Nobody has solved that. Teams have beaten them. Nobody's solved not turning the basketball over. They bring too much pressure. They sit in passing lanes. They make you feel like you should get rid of it even when you shouldn't. And that's when a lot of the turnovers come, because you're really not being trapped. You're just being pressured, and it's okay, let me just get it to somebody else, and they're sitting on that pass. So there was actually no reason to give it up other than feeling but what if they do trap me? And so it's that constant threat of a trap, that constant, not to mention if you go by them, they're elite at back tapping because Harrison and Quinterly are so active. And Watson to me is their glue kid. She just makes all the right plays and is right there in the steals department and just quietly goes about her business for them.
To be exact, they average 15 steals and force 25 turnovers a game, so obviously that's a huge number. My question, and I asked Jada this a while ago, you have talked so much in recent games about opponents driving, straight line drives, picking up too many fouls. I'm looking at Harrison, Quinterly, Shaw. Their teams shot 140 more free throws than their opponents, but all 3 of them are hitting 85% or so from the line. So how do you adjust to that quickness in the way they take it to the basket?
Yeah, I think that they're all different. Shaw is an elite 3-point shooter. That's where, when she gets hot, she gets really hot. And 1 3 will turn into 5 in a hurry. And when you get to play alongside 2 guards that are creative off the bounce, they do a good job getting it to her when she's hot. They'll stagger for her. They'll do pin downs. They'll do some different things in particular when she gets hot. Quinterly's, quite frankly, just really hard to guard, and she's hard for anyone to guard. The Bella matchup presents certain advantages for us and disadvantages for us. The Jada matchup provides advantages and disadvantages when it comes to them. But it's when you play Quinterly, when you play Harrison, it's the player on your right and your left that have to help you guard those players. So it's team defense. Nobody's going to individually stop them. Quinterly's stop and go, her ability to slither and to play downhill. You know, your goal is always to make her inefficient because you're not going to stop her from scoring. And even that's very difficult. Harrison's a little bit more of a straight line driver, more of a setup player. And so, you know, but it's the same concept about, you know, we got to be prepared to stun in gaps and do things to help the person guarding those two in particular. So really elite guards at creating shots for themselves and their teammates. So it's really about, you know, kind of building a wall and making it difficult for them to get the shots that they want.
Vonleh on Saturday had kind of a statistical anomaly game for her with such a low shooting percentage. How intentional were you about continuing to get the ball to her? Even
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I hate that she was inefficient because I loved how she played. And so that's sometimes the hard part about coaching. Like, I thought her energy was elite. I thought she was getting to the glass. I thought she was posting up hard. I thought every shot was short. She just couldn't quite get it past the front of the rim. I thought she started well, and I thought she stayed out of foul trouble. And so, you know, like, I really, really strongly disliked that she was not rewarded for, like, how hard she played and how aggressive she was. And so, I'm not real worried. I just hope she stays out of her head thinking, okay, I missed some layups, because I thought she made really good decisions. I thought her defense was good. You know, Calvert couldn't really get anything around the basket when she guarded her. So actually hope that game is a catalyst, because I thought how she played will pay huge dividends for her and us, because she went and got 8 rebounds too. And so that's what I hope. I hope it's almost like a catalyst more than it's like, okay, so she was 4 for 16. Like, I don't care if she's taking good shots. You know, do I want her to make them? Yes, but like we need her to be that aggressive. We need her to pursue the ball off the glass. We need her to want the ball on every possession. So, actually, very pleased with her game. Just want that to go in for her and certainly for us.
Also, a question for you about Yaya and Aaliyah. Yaya's been the only player in the Big 12 off the bench, averaging double digits, and now Aaliyah's not too far behind. What do they bring to the team when they check in, and how big is the addition of Aaliyah been in this stretch?
Yeah, I think to me, Yaya is like the 6th player of the year in our conference. Like, I just don't think there's been anyone as consistent and as game-changing when she checks into the game. And I've said it all season, our tempo lifts. You know, she's gotten better defensively. Certainly, there are times when people beat her off the bounce, but I think her energy is good. Sometimes she's getting beat and then she's blocking the shot from behind, so she's staying in plays. But it's her ability to put pressure on the paint. It's her ability to get out in transition. And then, you know, she's doing such a good job. They don't always go in, but her ability to play off the pitch and play behind screens. Like, she didn't make any shots behind screens last year, where this year I'm able to flare screen for her. We're able to pitch and have her shoot behind the screen if you go under it. So that's just become a really comfortable footwork shot for her. So, but I get why people do it, because you don't want her playing downhill to the paint. And so I think she's been really, really good for us all year long. And even the games she hasn't scored as much, usually her plus minus is really good. And then Aaliyah just is getting comfortable and confident. And so, you know, obviously it's no surprise that she can put the ball in the basket. You don't put the stats that she's put up over the course of her career and not believe that she can put the ball in the basket, but it's about finding her place, and I think she's starting to play and feed off Yaya as well. She does a really good job, probably as good a job of anyone on our team, of moving on dribble penetration. In fact, those two are our best, Yaya and Aaliyah. Like when someone puts the ball on the floor, when Jada puts the ball on the floor, they move and they're ready. And so that helps as well, like when they don't stand behind their player, when they become available. And so I think it's another threat for us. And it helps our 3-point shooting percentage. Aaliyah is an elite 3-point shooter. And when she takes good shots, and the beauty of her playing for us is she takes a lot of really good shots. And so, I think I had said when we signed her that her best statistical year was at Texas when she was playing with elite bigs and Rory Harmon, and has guards that can get her the ball, and I think she's thriving with that. Having 2-point guards in Sarah and Jada that can get her the ball, and when she's open and she's not having to press and take tough contested shots. So, I just think both of those two are weapons off the bench, and it's a really nice luxury.
Coach Nikki, your team has played its way with some help along the way into a first-place tie, but now you don't need to rely on anybody else. It's you control your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So where does that in the big picture and the focus on one game at a time becomes more important than ever?
Well, I think every coach is probably saying the same thing in their locker room and in their practice gym every day. When you look at those, top 7 teams that are all within like one game of first place, and so, but we play all those teams now, and so, we don't have any games in front of us that are assured. Not that we've ever felt that way, but I certainly think now. You're facing the teams that are tied with you. You're facing the teams that are one game behind you, and so you really can't look forward, because 2 losses and you'll drop from first to the 8th or 9th, like it can happen that fast. But I also think it's going to be hard for teams to go unscathed with the games they have left. And so that's why you just have to play the one in front of you. We always talk about holding serve at home and stealing wins on the road, but you have to hold home court advantage. I mean, you just absolutely have to. And so, I know people talked a lot about we were the only team in the top 5 in the league that wasn't ranked. I really do not care about that. I know our players do. I know our fans do. I know it's good to have a number in front of your name. We want to win a conference championship, and we want to host in the NCAA tournament. And those have been 2 goals that we've had since the season finished last year. And so that's what we're focused on. And obviously if those 2 things happen, there's going to be a number in front of your name. But we have opportunity now to face teams ahead of us in the rankings, and prove that we belong in that upper echelon. And so this is when we want to be playing great.
Nikki, you talked about it winning at home. Might be a little bit of a sore subject, but how important is it to have a big crowd? How much does a crowd affect a game, I guess?
Yeah, I don't want to say it's a sore subject. I think I think Baylor over the years, the community has supported this program. But I also think that in this day and age where you see continued growth, and you see what Kansas State is doing, and you see what TCU did when we played there, the biggest crowd in, I don't know what they say, 20 some years. When you see that Oklahoma State's having their biggest crowds at Gallagher-Iba that they've ever had, it matters. Like, who's winning those games? Kansas State, beat TCU at home, and TCU beat us at home, and Oklahoma State beat Kansas State at home because of those environments. Like, you're not just playing against the 5 people on the court. You're playing against the noise, the energy, the pressure, and oftentimes, whether you like it or not, it impacts the officials. the noise, the pressure, and it's not purposeful and it's not intentional. And I would never believe that nor say that. I just think it can happen. I think there's a wave of energy that happens in a building, and everybody rides it, And so it's the beauty of going on the road and winning environments like that. But at the same time, like, that is what these players that came to Baylor signed up for, to play in big games in front of big crowds, and that should start at home.
That being said, do you believe in momentum swings? Is momentum a real thing that players feed off of?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when you're tired and there's energy in the building, you're not tired anymore. Like, adrenaline kicks in when you have people cheering behind you, when you need to stop and it's so loud in there that the other team, makes a mistake. 4 people are running one play and one isn't. Like that stuff is real. Like, when there's that type of energy in a building, you feel it on free throws, you feel it in a lot of different ways, but I don't think there's any doubt that this game is mental. It's so mental. And so any edge that you can provide can be a difference maker. And I just think that's an easy one. I mean, and it should be a fun game. So, you talk about elite guard play and full court press and all that. We don't see full court press. Like, really, West Virginia is one of, I don't know, a handful of elite teams that really are, and maybe they don't feel this way, so I don't want to be like a little bit defined by their press. That's what people fear when they play them. They certainly fear Quinterly, they fear Harrison, but it's the press. That's what you focus on. This is what we are going to have to do to compete with them. We cannot give them points 84 feet from the basket with turnovers. So, it's just kind of a more unique style relative to like what you see a lot of today.
Well, I was going to ask, they've inherited that Press Virginia mantra. Do you feel like regionality of where teams are from still plays into the style of play that they do, or is it more, because you look up and down their roster, they don't really have any kids that are from that area, but is it more of just what the coaches bring and what the programs are, or do you still feel like when you go to different areas of the country that they play different styles of basketball?
I think style is a product of coaching. Like, I'm not saying that there isn't a bit of a mentality to being a Mountaineer, or being a Horned Frog, or being a Bear, or whatever. But I think it's the coaching mentality of how they play. They were really successful under Mike Carey playing a certain way. They were really successful for 1 year under Dawn Plitzel-White, and that's probably as good as I'm going to say it. But you talk about, they went from a half court, pick you up at the 3-point line, gap-oriented, Dick Bennett style defense, where they held teams in the 50s, to they hold teams in the 50s, but they do it by creating 25 turnovers, playing in the full court. And the fact that J.J. Quinterly stayed through all 3 of those coaches is just a testament to her commitment to West Virginia. And the success has been evident for her, but that's like in today's environment, it's pretty amazing that she has stayed there 5 years through 3 coaches.
All right, last question.
One last question. This is one of the few games where your team's quite a bit bigger size-wise, so will you consciously try to take advantage of Bugs and Bella? Because their guards are 5'6", 5'8", 5'9". How do you look at that?
Yeah, I certainly think we have ways to take advantage. We're not going to play outside of who we are and like put a bunch of new stuff in. But we have actions to get them touches, and, I think, this is a game that we're going to have to play through the paint. I think our latest statistics are like we shoot 59% with a paint touch. So anytime we touch the paint, we shoot 59%. That's insane. We shoot 29% without. We should touch the paint on every possession. We don't, and we won't. We're going to throw it ahead and shoot a 3 and not touch the paint, but we are at our best when we get a piece of the paint. And so whether that's against UCLA or West Virginia, where UCLA had size at every position on us besides Lyndon Jones, you know, or against West Virginia, you know, like they use their speed, they dig, they're super active with their hands, their rotations are good. And so, you know, like, yes, you know, we want to utilize our size, but we've got to utilize it in a way that's really comfortable for our team. Because the minute you start to see teams try to do something that they're not used to doing and maybe not as good at, you know, it doesn't usually work. You know, it's no different than Blackston's a pick and pop post. You know, like sometimes she's got size, but you know, she's at her best when she's picking and popping and making threes. And so, you know, if she has size, are they going to suddenly say, we're going to put her on the low block and, you know, they're less likely to do that type of thing because they don't want to put her in the way of where Quinterly and Harrison are trying to drive. So there's like kind of all of that too. So you got to be able to create space in all those situations. And so if you don't have a stretch five, fives can stay in the lane. So then your size at other positions doesn't impact near as much, because while there are teams that will deny, when we played Texas's fives were going to deny at the 3-point line, regardless whether we could shoot it or not. West Virginia tends to stand at the free throw line, you know, and play off non-shooting posts and then guard the ones they need to guard. So, I mean, you just have philosophical styles of how teams play that you have to figure out what's our game plan relative to how they play, and they're doing the same thing with us. All right, thanks.